Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to episode 145 of the Building in Public series. Today is Friday, the 6th of June, 2025. And what I thought I'd do today is I would kind of talk about five SEO mistakes that a lot of businesses make. I mean, even myself. But before I get into that, and before I get into today's episode, I wanted to just mention what we've sort of been up to today and sort of what prompted this episode. So, we've been very busy this morning with a bunch of meetings. We had a meeting that lasted just shy of 2.5 hours this morning, and that's one of the main reasons why we've been so busy. But what I wanted to do in today's episode kind of comes off the back of that meeting, okay? And it's essentially five SEO mistakes that I think a lot of businesses are making and they don't realize that they're making them. So, what I wanted to do today was essentially talk about our website. Now, to be honest with you, talking about our website is a very brave move, but it's good to talk about it because it's a good way to show the mistakes that we're making and where we're going to improve them. And I think, doing it around our website is good because it just shows you that even my website and even, you know, how doesn't matter how old it is or whatever, it still can show you the mistakes that we're making and, how we're going to fix them basically. So the first one I wanted to talk about was essentially having a slow site. So number one is a slow website can sometimes kill your Google rankings. Now, one thing I will say when it comes to search rankings and stuff is Google loves speed, right? And if your site literally takes more than even 2 or 3 seconds to load, chances are Google and search engines won't show you to more people. So honestly, using tools, so there's this one tool here that I use called Page Speed Insight, which is Google's own tool to measure, website performance and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to mobile, we're not too bad. We do have 72 out of 100. Typically, what you want to aim for when it comes to the speed of a website and everything, you want to try and aim for the high 90s, especially in performance, because it just does so much more. Like you can see here, apparently it takes 5.7 seconds for someone to load our site on mobile, which isn't great. And then on desktop, obviously it loads much quicker. But honestly, one pro tip I would say definitely, and you can see even there, right? Speed is key, right? Because if something takes more than 5 seconds to load, think about it. In today's day and age, everyone's attention span is shorter. So you need to make sure that you capture the attention as quick as possible. So I think that leaves us, with that first one done. Now, the second one I wanted to talk about, this one is a little bit more advanced, but I think it's good to mention it, okay? And that's basically keyword intent and not matching the keyword intent properly. So what I wanted to showcase here today, right, is keyword that we rank really well for, which is website design Ammanford, right? So if I search for that, you'll see that we show up here, and I think we're like third, yeah, third here. So it's not too bad, okay? But what I wanted to showcase to you is the difference between keyword intent and understanding this, okay? Because when you're going after a specific keyword, you need to make sure that you capture this intent, and you need to make sure that mainly your content captures that intent as well. So you can see here, right, the keyword website design Ammanford has an intent labeled as commercial, right? And what commercial means is that when users are searching for this particular keyword, so this is website design Ammanford, they're not ready to buy. They're in the process of looking and researching a service before deciding to buy. So, what Google decides to serve up in this instance with me when you search website design Ammanford is it decides to show them my website design services page, which makes sense because that is, the intent that we're trying to show them. We're trying to show them that yes, we build websites, and here are some websites that we've built, right? And that's one of the key differences that people miss when they do SEO or don't do it, is that their keywords and their pages aren't set up correctly. So I think that that about covers the second part of the video. Honestly, keyword intent is very important. And right, going on to the third section, I think one thing that you need to look at 100% when you're building a website, when you're building a page or anything like that, is how much detail and how much depth your website page has. Now, let's say if you have a service page, right? So let's go back to the website design example, right? So you'll see here we have website design services, a website design company based in Amazon, blah, 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 blah. And then we have some websites, okay? Now, this, even though it's good, is classed as thin content. And basically, what that means, right? So, say for example, obviously, I have a service page that says, we're a website design company based in Ammanford, we're affordable, blah, 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 blah. The thing is, Google has no idea what we actually do. Even though we've labeled it here, this is enough for Google. Okay. So, what you need to do is you need to make sure that your page, when you write about it, that it has focused and clear content on that, right? So what I would probably do if I was going to do this a bit differently is I would probably have this page different. I wouldn't call it web design. I would call it web design Ammanford. And then I would probably have something like, obviously we're a website design company based in Ammanford, or we work in Ammanford, and I'd have something like, here are some clients in Ammanford that we've worked with or something, right? Because you give it the intent of like, we are in this area and we work in this area. And honestly, one thing I got to say around that is don't be too afraid to niche down, especially in certain areas. So let's say you're a carpenter, okay? Don't be afraid to say, we're a top-rated carpenter in Ammanford. And we have great prices and blah blah blah. Stuff like that really does help. Now, honestly, to build out pages, what you need to really put in there to like build them out and everything is have things like frequently asked questions, have like customer reviews in Ammanford, that sort of stuff, and that's something that I think really does help. Now, going on to the fourth topic, I think one thing that you need to master 100% absolutely is if you want to target people locally. Okay. So if you, let's use the carpenter example again. If you're a carpenter in Ammanford, in Swansea, in Cardiff, in London, wherever it is, okay, you need to make sure that you have something called a Google business profile. Now, if you don't have one of these, I don't honestly know how you're getting customers already, because having a Google business profile is one of the top things for local SEO. And what they are is this, okay? It's a free service that Google offers for businesses. And you can see here on the right that if people search for specific things, that people show up. So you can see here, you can add things like essential information, you can show who you are, you can connect with customers, respond to reviews and everything. Honestly, a Google Business Profile is a very, very good tool. And you'll see here, right, when I use it for website design, it's the same thing. So if I do website design Ammanford, a Google Business Profile is this thing here. And what it does is it showcases things like your address, things like the areas that you serve, like so. It shows things like the hours that you're open. So apparently we close at 4 p.m. Obviously, phone number and where you can set appointments and stuff. And generally, that's one thing that you need to consider, especially from a local standpoint. Because if you don't do that, no one's going to know where you are. Okay. Now, leading on to the fifth and final part of this video, one thing that everybody needs to look at when they look at SEO and when they decide to take that leap is they actually need to look at their backlink profile. Now, listen, if you guys don't know what backlink profiles are, if you don't know how to work on backlinks, that's where people like me come in handy because I can help you build them properly and actually work things out. So now, to measure backlinks, I use obviously an SEO tool called Ubersuggest. There are a bunch of free tools you can use, but typically the paid tools provide more of a sort of outreach on them and a bit more of an option for you. But you can see here, apparently with our backlinks, we have 6,123, which is okay. I mean, you can get more of a time, but considering again, you know, we don't do much in terms of traffic. With us, it's very, very simple. It's literally, our backlinks more or less probably come from our websites that we build. So, that's quite an easy way to build backlinks. But obviously, one way you would do it from a local perspective, the easiest way to build your backlink profile is to get on business directory pages. So get on your Yells, get on, everything like that. And that's how you would improve it locally. But yeah, honestly, guys, I do not have much else to say in this video. Obviously, this video was long enough as it is. As you know, I don't usually ramble on in these videos, but yeah, I think to be honest with you, those 5 things alone are more than enough to get you started on your SEO journey. So if you're not too familiar with what they were, one of the first ones is you're not matching keyword intent. So make sure your keyword intent matches what you're trying to talk about. Your site is too slow is the second one. Make sure you improve that site speed. The third one is making sure that you set up your local SEO properly. The fourth one is making sure that your content isn't too thin and that it's actually detailed. Obviously, bear in mind these 4 are in no particular order. And then the fifth one then is making sure that you have enough backlinks. So basically, cover those 5 and you'll be on your way to some good SEO success. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you tomorrow for episode 146. Cheers. Bye for now.